Bihari Radha Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Prajadanandana Yashodanandana Prajadanandana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Yashodanandana Rajadanandana Jamana Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha, Jaya Radha, Madhava Radha, Madhava Radha, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Gaura Primanande, Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa, Sri Vradgacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad, His Divine Grace, Hirabai Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki, His Vibhiti, Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki, Samavata Bhakta Vrinda Ki, Harinama Sankirtan Ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki, Jaini Thai Gauda Primanande. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru, to Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Sarakaya Dakshuranmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamanam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanditam Sya Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suchidevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram chaiva narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraya. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, the supremmost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Sridham Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayasha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama-shloke bhaktir bhavati naistike. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamhitam Uttama-shloka Charitam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya lokasya Ranyam Swasyaya Namaha. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God as Sridham Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Om Surabhyaya Namaha. Mukam karoti vācharam pāgum langayate girim yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Vinatharam. Yat kripa tamaham bande Sri Gurum Vinatharam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavatam class. We continue from Canto number 2, Chapter 6, entitled Purusha Sukta, confirmed, and today 3-8. Yes, 3-9. Correct. Text 3-9. Papa is giving long purports to all these. Sa Esha Adyaha Purusha kalpe kalpe srijati ajaha atmatmani atmanat manam sa samyachati pati cha sa esha adya purushah. Sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe srijatyaja atmat manyat manat manam sa samyachati paticha sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe srijatyaja atmat manyat manat manam sa samyachati paticha sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe srijatyaja atmat manyat manat manam sa samyachati paticha sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe satyaja atmat manyat manat manam sa samyachati paticha sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe srijatyaja atmat manyat manat manam sa samyachati bhakticha sa esha adya purusha kalpe kalpe srijatyaja atmat manat manat manam sa samyachati paticha saha he eshaha the very adyaha the original personality of Godhead Purushaha the Mahavishnu incarnation a plenary portion of Govinda Lord Krishna kalpe kalpe in each and every millennium Srijati creates Ajaha the unborn Atma self Atmani upon the self Atmana by his own self Atmanam own self Saha he Samyastiti absorbs Pati maintains Cha also translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. That supreme original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation, creates this manifested cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance and manifestations are all himself. He maintains them for some time and absorbs them into himself again. Everyone kindly repeat after me. The supreme original personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation, creates this manifested cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance confirms this as follows. Yakaranarna bhajale bhajanti sma yoga nidram ananta jagat anda saromakupa andara shaktim avalambya param swamurtim govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. Lord Brahmaji says in his Brahma Samhita, I worship the primeval Lord, Govinda, who lies down in the causal ocean in his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, with all the universes generating from the pores of hair on his transcendental body, and and who accepts the mystic slumber of eternity. So this Mahavishnu is the first incarnation in the creation, and from him all the universes are generated and all material manifestations are produced one after another. The causal ocean is created by the Lord as the Mahatattva, as a cloud in the spiritual sky, and is only part of his different manifestations. The spiritual sky is an expansion of his personal rays, and he is the Mahatattva cloud also. He lies down and generates the universes by his breathing, and again by entering into each universe as Garbhodakshay Vishnu. He creates Brahma, Shiva, and many other demigods for maintenance in the matter, for maintenance of the universe, and again absorbs the whole thing into his person, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 9:7. Sarva bhutani konteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpa kshaye punastani kalpado visrijanyaham. Translation: O son of Kunti, when the kalpa, or the duration of the life of Brahma, is ended, then all the created manifestations enter into my prakriti, or energy. And again, when I desire, the same creation takes place by my personal energy. The conclusion is that these are all but displays of the Lord's inconceivable personal energies, of which no one can have any full information. At this point, we have already discussed. Yeah. So just reading the translation once again. That supreme original personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, expanding his plenary portion as Mahavishnu, the first incarnation, creates this manifested cosmos, but he is unborn. The creation, however, takes place in him, and the material substance and manifestations are all himself. He maintains them for some time and absorbs them into himself again. So this point is being made here, how this material cosmic manifestation is also non-different from the Lord, in that it is His energy. Uh, uh, through a very elaborate process, beginning with Mahavishnu, uh, from the pores of the body of Mahavishnu, as we know, the uh, different universes uh, are created, and within each and every universe, the Lord further expands Himself as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and then even further expands Himself as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, as very elaborately explained. So therefore, Prabhupada would explain how one who has this understanding, therefore, sees the presence of the Lord everywhere. Therefore, the material world is but a display, very wonderful, very extraordinary display of the Lord's energy. His referred to as His Bahir Anga Shakti. This is one of the tattvas explained actually by our acharyas in the Shastra. The Lord has three, is known through three Shaktis, not three Shaktis, three tattvas. One of them is referring to Shakti. So what is the first tattva? The first truth we could say about the Supreme Lord is that He is the Param Tattva. This practically in every purport of the Bhagavatam, in every purport, practically, I mean very often, of the Bhagavad Gita also. Srila Prabhupada, whenever he refers to God or the Supreme Person or the Absolute Truth, generally, as he does here, always includes or explains the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, just to remind us. I remember reading the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, for the first time. I had read some other Bhagavad Gita, but Krishna was not mentioned very much. But in Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, practically every page is like Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. So by the time you finish reading Bhagavad Gita, you're Krishna conscious. That message is very strongly. Yeah. So what is established in the Bhagavad Gita, what is clearly established also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, is that Krishna, He is the Param Tattva. He's not just only Tattva. He's not only reality, one of the many realities. I mean, Lord Shiva is also Tattva. He has his own Tattva. Jiva also, we have Tattva. Jiva Tattva. Jiva Tattva, Shiva Tattva, Shakti Tattva, Vishnu Tattva, so many Tattvas. Of all of these Tattvas, the Supreme Tattva, the original, topmost, is Param. Param means topmost, is Krishna. Krishna is Param Tattva. And that is not so easy to accept or to understand. Of course, if we are fortunate to receive Bhagavad Gita as it is, many people were a little critical when Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita came out with the title As It Is. That means that that means other Bhagavad Gitas are not as it is. And pretty well the implication is very much that, yes, unless Bhagavad Gita is explaining that Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that Bhagavad Gita is not able to convey the proper meaning of what Krishna is speaking, isn't it? So therefore, this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna explains himself in the Bhagavad Gita, has to come down unchanged, without any mutation or changes, as it is in Guru Parampara. So that principle is very clearly, very clearly established in our Guru Parampara system. So Krishna is the Param Tattva. Then Krishna is also what is called Shaktiman. Shaktiman, being the original personality of Godhead, he is also the origin of all Shakti. Shakti means energy, including this material energy. Therefore, this material energy, we can say, is the impersonal manifestation of Krishna. But it is also Krishna, inconceivably to us. It is his separated, Bina Prakriti Astada, as explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Bhumir Aponalo Vayu Kam Mano Buddhir Evacha Ahankara Itiyamme Bhinna Prakriti Rastada. These are my 8 separated energies: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and ego. So that is the second tattva. Krishna, he is Param Tattva. Then Krishna, he is Shaktiman. And what is the third tattva that is unique to Krishna? Krishna is known as what is it? Rasa Samudra. Rasa Samudra. Samudra means the ocean. The ocean. And rasa means mellows, emotions, feelings. Krishna, he is the the source of all rasa. Therefore, he is called Rasaraj. Rasaraj, the king of rasa. He displays this king of rasa, Rasaraj, especially in Vrindavan. The Vrindavan pastimes are unique and most attractive because it is only in the pastimes of Krishna in Vrindavan that Krishna displays all of his different rasas. He establishes, he gives an opportunity to so many living entities to exchange with him in these different rasa, isn't it? Therefore, he is the Rasaraj. And these rasas, Prabhupada explains, there's 2 kinds of rasa. Material rasa and spiritual rasa. We cannot live without rasa. Just like we cannot live without food. And the food must be tasty. Sometimes, if one is not so experienced cook, he will not last for a long time. But those who take the food from a cook who is not experienced, they will not be happy. So food must be tasty. The whole science, how how to bring out the natural taste of food by using different spice combinations, so many things. So even materially, so many so many different, you can say, flavors or mellows one experiences in the material world, but they are totally, they cannot be compared with the transcendental mellows. Bhakti, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Bhakti is that, Bhakti is simultaneously an activity. We say activities of bhakti, activities of devotional service, but bhakti also culminates in um, in experiencing, in feeling, in realizing different mellows or different sentiments. When we read, especially the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, Jagannath Puri is that place where, because Jagannath Puri is far away from Vrindavan. Vrindavan is here on the west, north side actually, northwest, and Jagannath Puri is on the east of India. Anyway, they're very far apart. So Lord Chaitanya was in Jagannath Puri, but although his body was in Jagannath Puri, his mind, isn't it? He was always thinking about Vrindavan. His mind was in Vrindavan, and he was constantly remembering these different pastimes, these different exchanges of the residents of Vrindavan, especially of the exchanges between the gopis and Krishna, and of course of all the gopis, Srimati Radharani. So Rasa Samudra, this is what is especially attracting people to Vrindavan. And of course, Mayapur is also another Vrindavan, because Krishna is also manifest, but in a hidden manner in Vrindavan, in Mayapur. Therefore, Mayapur is referred to as Gupta Vrindavan, hidden Vrindavan. Gupta Vrindavan is Mayapur. Bhoma Vrindavan is the original spiritual world manifest in the material world in the UP Vrindavan. And of course, Jagannath Puri is Bhava Vrindavan. Bhava, because Lord Chaitanya especially exhibited very deep sentiments and emotions. He was constantly relishing these different sentiments. Even he would hear one verse, even he would hear one word of one verse that was sufficient to just, break everything, practically speaking. And the two personalities who were assisting Lord Chaitanya, as we know, Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodar, they were constantly with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were extremely well versed in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We get a little glimpse, personalities like Prabhupada always quoting verses left and right. So, 500 years ago, when the culture was even more strongly established, it was especially amongst Brahmanas. Brahmanas that is meant to be their special quality. They study Shastra. That's supposed to be the main, most important activity of a Brahmana. Study Shastra means they study by heart Shastra. Uh, it is inconceivable to most of us because we don't see that nowadays. But it was not uncommon, I'm sure, like 500 years ago, that many people could recite the whole Bhagavad Gita by heart. Nowadays, if you find somebody, I know one devotee, actually, this is rather amazing. One devotee kind of made it in the Guinness record. He took it upon himself. He's from Bellary, actually. Haribol, Jai. His name is Krishna Chandra. And I have the recording. It's like amazing. Hey, you're blocking the way. He took it upon himself. He explained to me why he did that. He said, I wanted to show, to prove that actually Bhagavad Gita was spoken within a very short time, within less than, like within an hour approximately. The whole Bhagavad Gita, it's taking us lifetimes to learn Bhagavad Gita. It was spoken in like an hour and a half. So within 6 months, he just concentrated on learning the whole Bhagavad Gita by heart. He did it. And then he contacted some people who are involved with, these contests and this and that. So everything was professionally arranged. They came and they recorded him. It's on video. He's on video reciting the whole Bhagavad Gita without any mistake in about, 70 minutes, something like that. And so any verse of the Bhagavad Gita, if you give one word, he can just immediately recite it. Even you mention like Bhagavad Gita 12:4, immediately like that. So I'm just saying that 500 years ago, many people could recite Bhagavad Gita, all the 700 verses by heart. Actually, I met one devotee, one of my godbrothers, who used to visit India, especially South India. Now he told me, as much as learning Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses sounds pretty fantastic. It's possible. He told me he met one South Indian Brahmana who could recite the entire Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, there's a big difference. Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses. Srimad Bhagavatam, 18,000 verses. How is it possible? Actually, there are, just like to learn a verse, there's some technique. There's a technique to learn one verse. There's a technique to learn one chapter. There's a technique to learn one book. I don't know these techniques. But yeah, there are ways. When we were younger, I mean, before, this was part, I guess it was part of the, culture, remnants of we, in school, if we were, for punishment, the teacher would tell us, okay, you have to learn by memory, half of this book or whatever, so many chapters, and we would learn by heart. So this is a very important aspect of the culture, which is possible when we live with people who are devotees, who are part of the Vedic culture. So an important part of the Vedic culture is to hear from Bhagavatam, not only to hear, but also to personally read and to study and to learn by heart. Especially that is meant to be done when we are his age. Gurukul age, that is Gurukul special feature. That is psychology also. In psychology, one knows that a young mind can very quickly, very easily pick up and learn many different things, including learning verses. So that's why, of course, people in the West, they sometimes criticize why they waste so much time just sitting and learning by heart. They could be doing so many other things. But they don't understand that actually this is part of Krishna's creation. Krishna has created the body, a young body, with the ability to learn very quickly. Just like, those of us who are adults, most of us here, if we try to learn a language, some people, but they're very few, they can learn quickly. But most of us, it takes us a long time. But a young child can learn 3, 4, 5 languages within a very short time. Because the mind is like, it's Krishna's created the body in that way. That the mind in the body of a young boy or young girl also, they can, like in Indonesia, I'm amazed because devotees, they learn so many things by heart. Because it's remnants of the Vedic culture actually also. So our verse today basically is a continuing prayers of Lord Brahma, who is explaining how everything in the material world is actually Krishna, because it is Krishna's energy. It's an expansion of Krishna. And then we went on to briefly explain about the different that this Shakti energy is one of the tattvas that we need to understand. It is one of the 10 tattvas that we find in the Dasamula tattva of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Dasamula tattva. If we know these 10 tattvas, then we can function properly in the material world. If we don't know these tattvas, then we will be confused, isn't it? Just like Bhagavad Gita has 5 tattvas, 5 main tattvas. So tattva is most important, and tattva can only be understood by a bona fide spiritual master. Tattva darshina. Tattva can only be understood from someone who has knowledge of tattva, isn't it? And that knowledge of tattva is transmitted through the system of Guru Parampara. So therefore, the need and the importance to establish Gurukula for this most important. Just see in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a story of Gajendra the elephant. Very nice story. Gajendra the elephant was swimming. He was a king. He was like, elephants are big by nature, but he was like the Maha elephant. Elephant's already Maha. There's Maha elephant. He was a king of the elephants. And one day he was taking elephants. They like to go to some ponds, and with their trunk, they pour water. They take bath in that way. Anyways, this one day he was taking bath, and then he didn't notice. He was a little careless. One big crocodile came, grabbed his foot, and he was big crocodile, because elephants have big feet. So you have to have a big mouth to catch the feet of an elephant. and he wouldn't let go. And so he tried, and then that crocodile was very hungry and very determined also. And so for one full month, maybe longer, this fighting of the elephant, between the elephant and the crocodile in the water. And then water is the natural place for crocodile. So even though he was fighting, he could still get some food in his somehow. But the elephant was getting tired because elephant is lives on the land. He's a land animal. Crocodile is a water animal. So then, after 1 month of fighting, Gajendra became very tired, and he was thinking, "I'm losing. This crocodile is defeating me," and so he could realize, "I'm in real trouble. Now I have no hope." Then the living entity in Gajendra, because he had gone to Gurukul before, he started reciting some prayers. Just beside where he was, there was one tree with one flower with his trunk. He took that one flower and he offered to Krishna, and he started reciting Govindam Adi Purusha. Different prayers he offered. And so the Lord, hearing the wonderful prayers, he came and he sent his Sudarshan Chakra, cut off the head of the crocodile, and Gajendra was liberated. This is one of many examples that if we practice to learn shlokas, they will, if we are not fortunate to go back home, back to Godhead, if we have to take another birth, what we have in our mind, both good and bad, will be there in our next body. So if we learn many shlokas, that will be there in the next body. That is a great advantage of being devotees and learning and practicing, especially learning different prayers. And as in the example of Gajendra, then we may remember these prayers in the future, and they can save us or help us in different ways. So, any comments or questions on this?
The initial one, you would need to think about the age of 7 or 8.
7, eh? Age of 7. Yeah, in Malaysia. All glories to Malaysia. I mean, all glories to the devotee in Malaysia. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That is the wonderful opportunity that devotee parents, they can give that chance to their young children to learn verses and to learn. Yeah, I think there's probably a number of devotee children who can recite Bhagavad Gita. It's still quite rare, of course, but yeah, nice. Yeah, right. Yeah. No, there are techniques, and I'm sure some devotees know these techniques. I heard about it, and it makes sense also that there are ways or methods by which to learn huge amounts of verses. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Gaur Pimanandi.